Okay, the next item is item number 15, application for a certificate of appropriateness in the Borough of Manhattan, docket number 14-8387, block 180, lot 15, 15 J Street in the Tribeca West Historic District, a Romanesque Revival-style store and loft building with neo-Greek-style elements designed by D&J Jardine and built in 1887. This is an application to install new storefront infill and construct a rooftop addition.
I'd like to see the reimbursable bill on that thing. $5,000.
Yeah, right.
Come on.
I know. Okay, go ahead.
All right, good afternoon, Commissioners. Rebecca Salgado, Preservation Department staff. Subject property is on the north side of the street, between Greenwich Street and Hudson Street. Here's some current photos of the building, the 1940s tax photo, 1980s tax photo. The applicant proposes altering ground floor infill at the primary facade and also constructing a rooftop addition. At the existing ground floor infill, which you can see in this photo here, the applicant proposes to remove this non-historic concrete platform and install diamond plate over the historic vault lights that are below to protect those in place. The applicant also proposes to move the entrance to the building from the center bay, where it is right now, to the bay where the elevator shaft is located. Initially, the applicant was proposing to replace the historic elevator shaft shutters, but they are now proposing to restore these shutters and pin them back in a permanently open position, flanking the new entrance. In the remaining two bays, the applicant proposes to install paneled wood bulkheads with wood double-hung windows and transoms, fixed transoms. As you can see here. At the rooftop, the applicant proposes to construct a one-story penthouse addition and also a new stair and elevator bulkhead. All of these elements are proposed to be clad with limestone paneling with glass railings at select locations. The penthouse portion of the rooftop addition will not be visible from a public thoroughfare, but the new stair and elevator bulkheads will be visible from select locations to the east, west, and to the north, as shown in photos of the mock-up. And architect Angelo Costa will further explain the proposal to you.
Hi,
Thank you.
good afternoon. If there's any specific questions that you'd like me to address now, I will. She's gone through pretty much the scope of the job.
Okay.
Been through this project before, for the commission before, for other items that have all been reviewed and approved. The building's undergoing a full renovation on the interior. It's an IMB building, a loft-floor building. So it's being converted to full residential use. There'll be no commercial use for the building. And we believe that as far as the questions concerning the commission today, really we've mitigated it to being a non-issue. The addition on the top floor, the sixth floor addition we're proposing is really virtually invisible. As you can tell by the photos that were submitted, even from quite a distance away, you only get very small piece of the elevator and stair bulkhead. The roof of the 6th floor, it's actually 6th floor by legal definition. It's a little bit bigger than the 1/3 minimum for a penthouse. But the roof will be accessible for tenant use as a recreation space, and that's why we have the elevator also extends to that level. The glass railings become virtually invisible and a non-issue. And the cladding that we've selected is pretty neutral, gray to off-white stone panel tile that will be mounted on a metal stud frame. So beyond that, the other issues that we actually had touched upon was there are the historic lights that are in the sidewalk. Particularly, we're going to replace the sidewalk. It just needs a very slight ramp to accommodate a drop residential lobby for handicapped access. But we'll be doing the diamond plate, which matches the 17J, building stuff, but 17J, which is further to the west, and we'll be continuing that look. This building was originally part of 3 buildings that were built at the same time, and they're all the same architecture. So that's being carried across.
Oh,
As a
okay.
matter of fact, our upper level will align with their, for all intents and purposes, will basically be the same setback plane, and same height.
Okay. Are there questions?
Just one, just to clarify. The limestone tile, that is covering the entire bulkhead?
That's covering the entire bulkhead.
Okay, Roberta?
Yes, the height of your elevator.
Yeah,
Your
about,
elevator goes to the roof, I know that.
yeah,
Yeah, we're looking at
right, so
elevators that are shorter than that. I think that there must be elevators.
typically they're about 17.6 from the level of the highest level that it reaches. We've actually found the shortest one we can find, which is 15.9 from the finished, up
Nine.
the last entrance point to the top of the machine room above. So we're about 16 feet, for all intents and purposes, above the roof of the 6th floor. The stair bulkhead also has to go up to that level, which comes up to about another 9.6 from the finish of the roof of the 6th floor. But there is not, we actually tried to find the shortest we could, and there's one manufacturer that's put us down to 15.9 above the upper level. And that's because that elevator door does access the roof of the 6th floor.
Or the
not just-
highest elevator versus?
I'm saying even accessing the roof. Unless other people are very long. I think we just saw something.
Which was lower than that?
This is high.
Is this multiple dwelling or private?
No, this is a multiple floor.
That was a private house.
Yeah, that might be the
Private
difference.
house.
Yeah, it depends also on the number of stories to a height.
And you have how many stories? 6?
Yeah, you'll end up with 6 stories. The top floor is really by legal definition a story because it's larger than a third of the roof. At a third of the roof. Marking.
Okay, any other questions? Yes,
Just one.
Diana?
You're covering the vault lights with diamond plate, is that
Yes.
correct?
So they're going to stay in place, and that's these down here. So they're going to remain, not to touch those. There's some repair work to the steel that's in that vault that's got to be done and replaced, but all that will remain. It'll be underneath the iron plate.
Thank you.
Any other questions? All right. The community board has voted on this. Approval is provisional upon the extremely important street front shutters remaining intact and in place now. I believe you're planning to do that, right? Okay. The Landmarks Committee also requests that the extension finish be of the most matte material, and it recommends that the Landmarks Preservation Commission approve this application with those stipulations. Okay. We'll take public testimony. Kelly Carroll.
Kelly Carroll, Historic Districts Council.
HDC feels that double-hung windows are a residential element and do not belong on a store and loft building. In the case that operable windows are desired in this space, the committee suggests creating operable transoms on this former storefront. We also find the bulkhead too visible from many vantage points and recommend incorporating a hydraulic elevator to try to reduce this bulk on the roof. And we didn't see the vault lights on Friday, but in districts like Tribeca, where vault lights are an important element of the historic district, we ask that they be repaired or restored. Thank you.
Are there any other speakers? All right, no other speakers. Have you looked at a hydraulic lift?
Yeah, we
Yes.
have.
If you can,
There's a
yes.
limit as to how
If you can
far we
please come
actually
for,
do it.
yes.
I'm sorry. There's a limit as to how hard we've been able to find, elevators to go. This does go to over 75 feet, so usually they're up to 60 feet, 6 stories. We have no objection to pursuing that further, and certainly would be happy to do it, but we've been doing some research, and we have not been able to find someone willing to give us about that elevator to that height.
Do you know what height, if you wanted this to be basically invisible, I'm not sure what, do you know what height you'd have to bring down the bulkhead to make it, completely,
Invisible.
or is that just
I
not
think
possible?
right now,
Probably
as
not.
kind of indicated in the sightline diagrams, which is on another drawing, you really only see probably this top section is visible.
Right,
From
right.
the corners of the streets at the end of each block, from the far east to far west. We're in the middle of the block, so you really have to get all the way out to that point to see it. One of the concerns that I think people might have had is at some point there was a mock-up on the building that was a little bit incorrect in its representation. That has since been corrected, so some people thought they saw something up there as much. That wasn't it. But because as you can see now, there's only the last 8 feet of that bulkhead. That's the stair bulkhead and the elevator bulkhead. So that not.
Commissioners, I'd like to just clarify which photos are the maximum visibility
Yes,
photos.
please.
So this is the maximum visibility from the east, and this is the maximum visibility in general. This is the maximum visibility from the west. The mock-up is shielded here by some trees a bit, and then this is the maximum visibility from the north. So these 3 photos are the maximum visibility.
And with respect to the one on the north, there's a lot of other stuff going on the roof. Is it only where the point of the arrow?
Yeah, this is actually the
The
building
Greenwich
next door.
The other one.
No, the lower left. That one, there's all this other stuff going on? Is it,
All this other stuff that's going on here,
Yes.
that's not our building, that's
Okay.
actually the
Okay.
buildings
Yeah.
beyond us.
But the orange is.
Just that
Just
little
that orange net.
netting.
on the right side?
On the right side.
That building also seems to have a mock-up installed,
Mm-hmm.
so I noticed there's also orange netting there, so it's a little.
Right.
Oh, mock-ups, okay.
At least we know what's going to go on the roofs, okay.
Okay. And are there any other questions? Have you looked at the issue that was raised by HTC regarding the double-hung windows and whether you can keep them as fixed?
Well, the double hung windows, we've actually filed for, and I think we've got approved or that's another issue, to replace the windows with the windows that are there, as far as you're talking on the first floor.
No, just, sorry, this is just a misunderstanding. They're replacing windows on the upper floors, and that's approvable at staff level. However,
Right.
the first floor windows are not approvable at staff level.
Right.
Because they're not a typical historic window type, so that just.
That's gonna come in.
Yeah.
Right, so I think the question,
Address the question about doing a double hung window instead of a single pane display window.
We have,
exactly. Thank you.
as far as these 3 windows here, we have the double hung windows plus the transom at the top. And those, buildings next door, they have large single pane windows. I know
Right.
it's irrelevant, but this was, right now this is kind of boarded up and they've got some old metal cages that are not part of the original building. If you want to replace these with a single large pane,
Yes. I
These
mean,
are residential apartments, so we do have to make them operable.
Okay.
And that's where we run into a problem there. If we
Yeah.
get into
Can
an
you-
operable large pane glass, we can do that. We can certainly do that.
one would be able to do it, right?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Okay, thank you. Can go into discussion. All right. Let's start with the bulkhead. And it seems that there are legitimate reasons why they cannot bring that down. And I think they've shown us the photographs talking or indicating what's the largest extent of the bulkhead if it's seen. And I don't know, in my opinion, it seems fine.
I think that they
Yes.
still should look at
You-
it one more time.
Working with staff.
Okay, they can work with staff to see if they could, let's bring it to its lowest level
Type-
possible.
Yes, it could be a question of type of elevator. looked
Okay.
at. I think that they should just look at it.
I think that's a great idea, and you can work with staff on that. Just in terms of the storefront itself, it seems it's good that they're planning to retain the shutters. I know that was a concern. And I think it seems that the recommendation of this commission is that they should look at single pane, but operable. Is that correct?
Yes,
And operable for the residential. And we can put that also, they can work with staff on that issue as well?
Yes.
Okay,
We
very,
can approve this working with staff.
that would be great. Excellent. Okay, so I make a motion to, I'm sorry? Yeah, so the visibility of the rooftop, we're fine with that, is that correct?
Well, we're trying to lower the bulkhead.
We're trying to lower the
Yes.
bulkhead,
Working with the
but if
staff.
we
Yes,
can't,
we're okay, yes.
I think it was just to give it one more try, right? That if they can, but if it remains as is, at least we'll be confident through staff that they have tried their options. That seems reasonable? Okay, so I make a motion to close.
So moved.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All right. Who would like to read this? Ms. Marjorie, you want to do it,
Sure,
Diana? Great.
sure.
Okay.
In the matter of a certificate of appropriateness, Borough of Manhattan, 15 J Street, Tribeca West Historic District, application is to install new storefront infill and construct a rooftop addition. I recommend approval with modifications, finding that the removal of the existing storefront infill from the westernmost and center bays will not eliminate significant historic fabric, that the overall configuration of the proposed ground floor infill, featuring large glazed openings, paneled wood bulkheads, and transoms, is in keeping with historic storefronts found in buildings of this age and type in this historic district, that the gray painted finish will recall the painted finishes historically found on wood storefronts in this historic district, that the construction of the proposed rooftop addition will not result in any damage to or demolition of a significant architectural feature of the roof, that the design of the addition featuring limestone cladding and multi-light metal window openings will be harmonious with the building, that although the proposed bulkhead is visible from multiple vantage points, it will be seen in conjunction with existing larger bulkheads, water tanks, and other mechanical equipment on this building's rooftop and on other nearby rooftops, thereby blending into the surrounding rooftops and skyline, and that the applicant will work with the staff to see if it is possible to further lower the bulkhead. And that the applicant will also work with the staff to arrange for single-pane windows at the first floor display windows, which will be more in keeping with the historic storefronts in this district, and that the proposed work will not detract from the special architectural and historic character of the Tribeca West Historic District.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Sorry.
Okay, the motion has been passed in favor.